If you delve deep to the bottom of any lake or river, you are likely to find some interesting things, but mostly junk or waste. However, some folks have come across many unexplainable things, even making history with their findings. So today on Top 5 Scary Videos, I'm going to be counting down our list of the top 5 scary things found in lakes. Before we begin though, be sure to stick around until the end of the video where I'll be responding to some of your comments. And with that, let's jump in. In at number 5 we have Sea Devil. Back on February 1st, 2013, researchers using scanning equipment in Lake Labinga announced that they had discovered what they claimed were the skeletal remains of an ancient sea serpent, described locally as the Devil. A dozen divers braved legends of monsters and the coldest winter temperature to venture into the lake in order to get into the Guinness World Book of Records. Using an underwater scanner, they discovered a jaw and skeletal remains that could in fact belong to the infamous Devil. That was first reported by locals in the 19th century. Now, the divers didn't meet the creature itself, but managed to film the bottom of the lake and along the way discovering evidence of the jaws and skeleton using an underwater scanner. A geologist wrote of the Devil stating, "There have been all sorts of hypotheses about what kind of creature it could be, a giant pike, a relic reptile or an amphibian. We didn't manage to prove or to disprove these versions. We managed to find the jaws and skeleton of some animal. However, there were sadly no pictures released of these findings, posing a lot of questions as to whether they discovered anything at all. So whether the Sea Devil exists is up to you. Probs doesn't, does it? Pics or it didn't happen." Coming in at number 4 we have Mini Stonehenge. Back in 2007, a team of archaeologists discovered a Stonehenge-like structure at the bottom of Lake Michigan, which is absolutely insane. As most should know, Stonehenge in the UK is one of the most famous prehistoric monuments, but now, thanks to this discovery, it's not the only one of its kind. According to Mark Holley, a professor of underwater archaeology, he discovered a series of stones arranged in a circle 40 feet below the surface of Lake Michigan. One of the stones discovered appears to have carvings that resemble a mastodon, an elephant-like animal that went extinct 10,000 years ago. I quote, "When you see it in the water, you're tempted to say this is absolutely real, but that's what we need the expert to come in and verify." Now, if the formation is authenticated, it wouldn't be totally bizarre considering that other stone circles have been discovered in the area, as well as some petroglyphs, specifically the Sanalik Petroglyphs Historic State Park, a park which contains the largest collection of Native American petroglyphs in Michigan. The carvings were said to be created in the pre-Columbian era and represents aspects of Native American spirituality. Coming in at number 3, a ghost town. Back in 2011 there was a prolonged drought in Texas, which resulted in the remnants of a small town called Bluffton quite literally coming to the surface. Now, the original town site was submerged by Lake Buchanan. When the Buchanan Dam was completed in the 30s, it flooded the original town site. Following the incident, the entire town was moved several miles to the west, forcing residents to abandon ranches and successful pecan trees. However, like I said, in 2011 a severe drought caused lake levels to drop, re-exposing the old town along with its gravestones. Johnny C. Parks died 2 days before his birthday almost a century ago, with his grave being one of many to slip from sight and into the lake. However, now the cracked marble tombstone has re-emerged. Across the state, the drought has revealed a prehistoric skull, ancient tools, fossils, and a small cemetery that appears to contain the graves of freed slaves. Local historians have of course been attracted to the site. I quote, "In an odd way, this drought has provided an opportunity to view and document where appropriate some of these finds and understand what they consist of." Most people in Texas probably didn't realize what was under these lakes. I mean, they'd be the weird ones to guess a town, to be honest. Coming in at number 2, the disappearances. In September of 2013, 2 cars were discovered at the bottom of Foss Lake near Elk City, Oklahoma. 6 bodies were discovered in 2 rusted out cars that were pulled from the lake. This may actually have solved the dual mysteries of a set of teens who went missing in the 70s, as well as a trio of grown men who went missing in the late 50s and 60s. The 2 cars were spotted by Highway Patrol while testing out a new sonar equipment in Foss Lake on the western edge of the state. Divers were quickly called in and later returned with a crumbling 1969 Camaro and a 1950s Chevrolet from the bottom of the muddy lake. In both cars they discovered bones as well as human skull in the water. The divers went on to uncover 6 bodies, 3 skeletons in each car. Debbie McManaman's grandfather Alvy Porter drove a green Chevy like the one discovered. She said, I quote, "I remember that green car. Yes, it's sad. I mean, I can still see his tall, lanky body walking up to the car. The Camaro, on the other hand, matches one driven by 16-year-old Jimmy Allen Williams. The teen went for a drive with friends Thomas Michael Rios and Leah Gail Johnson on November 20th, 1970 before vanishing and disappearing forever. The two cars would rest side by side for more than 4 decades until their discovery. Kim Carmichael, a friend of Williams, stated, "I just remember how devastated everybody was. We lived in a little town, nothing like that ever happened." Now, the discovery was a total accident, with troopers not being prepared for what they were going to find. I quote, "We thought it was just going to be a stolen vehicle, and that's not what it turned out to be, obviously." And finally, coming in at number 1, Tom Sublette. Back in December of 2012, investigators discovered the remains of Tom Sublette, the commissioner of Glynn County, Georgia, at the bottom of a lake. His body was found floating between a dock and a boat at the St. Simmons Boating and Fishing Club at around 6 a.m., which was almost 4 hours after his wife became alarmed that he had not returned home. Now, what is oddly suspicious about the incident is the simple fact that Police Chief Matt Doring refused to say how he died, and no one reported seeing Sublette alive in the 7 hours between leaving his fishing club friends and turning up in the lake. In the hours before his body was discovered, there was an incoming tide moving upstream from the dock toward the boating club, so saying that where he was discovered isn't necessarily where an incident took place. Now, an autopsy was done on the body, but no motive was put forward, but Doring did confirm that some items were missing from Tom Sublette. What the police chief refused to comment on was the fact that Sublette's hands were bound together and there was a bullet cavity in his head, something they remained oddly hush-hush about. They also found an empty holster in his car and ammunition, but no weapon was ever discovered. According to the medical examiner, Sublette took his own life, but the question is, how do you shoot yourself when your hands are bound? Something is fishy about the entire thing. Well, there we have it. Do you guys agree with our list? Were there any scary lakes that we missed? Leave us all your thoughts and feelings in the comments down below, and perhaps we can do a part 2. Before I go though, I just want to respond to a few comments from one of our last videos. Top 5 scary monsters that come at 3 a.m. Author for Crow said, "I knew that upon her return, Lucy, our Dark Queen, would demand a sacrifice, our undivided attention." Preach, you know me so well. I always demand your undivided attention and you better give it to me. Beth Marsh said, "So what if Queen Lucy gained weight? She could lose weight or gain weight. It's nobody's freaking business. You look great, Lucy, as always. I love watching your vids before bed." Well, Beth Marsh, thank you for being my biggest supporter. I think I need you to come to Toronto and protect me from everyone else. Gabriel Smith said, "If everyone is right and you're their Dark Queen, can you visit me in my dreams?" No, I don't take requests. I do what I want. Matea said, "One day I decided to snooze after my alarm went off and drifted into a dream, but suddenly Freddy appeared and I woke up quickly. Decided then was a good time to get out of bed." Never had a dream about Freddy, so can't relate. I would love to. I had a dream about murder hornets last night. That was frightening. Young Tusk said, "Interesting to see all different emotions running through Lucy's face. Absolute master of the one face shows all technique." Thank you, that's actually a real compliment. I enjoy showing no emotion but all my emotions at the same time. You know? And on that note, if you haven't already, be sure to give this video a big thumbs up, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss another scary vid. And until next time, I'll see you later. Just do what you want with that, editors, sorry. Lake Labinka, sure. Authenticated. Now if the formation is you've thrown me off completely. No. Authenticated.
Yeah, you're right.
What did you say? Authenticated? I'm off my game now. Whatever. I'm tired. Are you thinking of authenticity? I think
your accent always throws me off, like Mastodon.
Oh, it's my accent, is it? It's my fault.
My lack of English language.
Drove a green Chevy like the one discovered. Chevy, not Chevy. Back in December of 2012, I'm just out of it today. I don't even know why I'm filming my last video now.